Now, if sometimes I do post up pictures of what I'm wearing or what I'm doing on Twitter at Sunny and Shay, so you'll know that I'm a bit of an avid fan of fashion, and it is London Fashion Week this week. It launched on Thursday. It's lasting until Wednesday next week, and we couldn't go with this show without having a fashionista in the studio,
We couldn't.
I mean, that's just wrong. So we've dragged in from her busy schedule a young designer, just graduated, daughter of a fashion entrepreneur in London, in Wembley to be precise. It's Nikita Karizma.
Hello. How are you, Princess?
I'm amazing. How are you both?
We're good. I mean, like, straight away, you come into our studio looking stunning. Please tell us what you're wearing. Because you're a fashion icon, right? I think you're a fashion designer. So obviously what you're wearing is very important to you. What are you wearing?
Here the truth comes out.
Go on, let's hear it.
I am wearing some boots from Aldo, and I've customised them. I went to Shoreditch and found different spikes to stud them up.
Fantastic.
And I'm wearing some skinnies from All Saints that have been coated with a wax.
So you did this yourself?
No.
Okay.
All Saints did this for me.
Okay.
And a leopard print dress. And of course the red lipstick.
I love the red lipstick. Look, Karita, when I first met you over a year ago, the one thing I loved about yourself is the fact that you're a young London fashion designer. Before we start talking about London Fashion Week, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you do?
Okay, I've just graduated from London College of Fashion, which was one incredible experience, and I have pretty much been born into the fashion industry. My parents own an Asian clothing store called Variety Silk House, based in northwest London.
Okay,
so how long have they been there?
Oh, they've been there over 50 years, and it used to be in Kenya.
So they came from Kenya and they brought their fashion house to London.
Yes.
And this fashion that you talk of, is it like traditional English wear, 50 years? I'm thinking like top and tailor.
It's Indian wear,
is it Indian wear? What do they sell there?
It's Asian clothing, so it's very glamorous. A lot of glamorous saris, bridal wear, menswear, children's wear, jewellery, shoes, handbags, everything with a bit of Asianness to it.
So I think it is right to say Alicia Dixon is someone you dressed as well. Is that right?
And the Sugar Babes we dressed last year. And the beauty about the sari is that absolutely everyone, no matter what shape or form or race they're in, they absolutely look stunning in it. So
do you think then, because I would have thought if you've gone to London College of Fashion, and your parents and your family are in, the fashion world, specifically, they sell Asian clothes. I would have thought that's what you're going to do. That's going to be you. You're going to, be typically Asian. I'm going to say the cliche and, okay, I'm going to follow in mum and dad's footsteps. I'm going to design Indian outfits. I'm going to design Indian saris. Yeah. Is that what you do?
I mean, I have been very inspired for them, and what I've taken from them is how to make a woman look beautiful and glamorous.
Right.
But I do have a tendency to get inspired by a lot of punk.
Okay. So that's really different.
Yeah.
So you're unique in your own right then. You haven't kind of decided, okay, I'm going to stick and do, saris and that's what I'm going to design. What do you design yourself then?
I actually get very inspired by what is happening in the world, and I always want to try and make a fashion statement that sends out a positive social message.
Okay.
Because I don't see the point in designing clothes. There's millions of designers that just design a load of clothes that end up in the back of our wardrobe. And I want to use the fashion industry to send out a positive wave to the world.
So how can you say a positive wave? I mean,
Yeah.
like London Fashion Week's here, okay?
Yeah.
And most people, when you think of London Fashion Week, you always think of, don't you, Sunny? You think of you've been calling me fat all evening. I'm going to say
I haven't been calling you fat. Oh my God! I think you put on a stone. Okay?
I'm teasing.
Okay. My wife. Have you seen my wife? You can see her, right? She doesn't look any different than she does a year ago. But you know what? She's put on a stone.
Put on a stone.
Can
Not
you
a
tell?
big deal.
Can you tell?
Not a big deal in the scheme of things. But the point is, what I was getting to
Sunny, you haven't changed one bit,
No,
have
I
you?
haven't. No.
What I was getting to was when you think of London Fashion Week and
Yeah.
you think of world of fashion, okay, you think of size zero models.
Yeah.
And you, to be honest, you think of seeing these clothes on, the walkways, which actually, they look great on them, but you're not going to wear them.
Yeah.
So when you say you want to make moves, what's the new range about that you've got coming out? And
Okay.
what are you trying to do with it?
So in my graduate range, my theme was called Fashion versus Abuse,
Okay.
and the clothing was very protective to positiveness, powerful women, and Yeah.
You've got something. You've got some. I can see a box here. What have you got? What have you got that you
brought you
brought
a
in?
couple of pieces from my graduate range.
Amazing. What can you describe what that is?
Okay, so I'm holding a headgear with a lot of buckles and a mouthpiece that is covered with crystallized spikes.
Right. So who would wear something like that?
Possibly someone like Lady Gaga.
Now you mentioned Lady Gaga, right? Is
Yeah.
Lady Gaga, if I'm right in understanding this, she has one of your pieces in her.
She does. She actually, the first piece that has been given ever from any of my ranges has gone to Lady Gaga as a gift, and she's got this headgear.
So I'm going to take that's amazing. I'm going to take a photo of that and pop it up on Twitter
at
Sunny and Shay.
So this is something that Lady Gaga might be supporting in the future.
Possibly, yes.
So let me. So when it comes down to your message about being positive and everything, now we've got someone like Stella McCartney, right? She's definitely doing stuff to do with positivity in the sense that she keeps away from animal and she does everything organic and she tries to keep everything, let's say, man-made.
Well, she's a vegetarian, so she doesn't want anything to do with kind of. She doesn't wear leather or any of that, does she?
No, and it represents in her designs. So, do you apply that kind of ethos in your designs, or do you yours is more about a statement when it comes down to
Definitely a statement. My next range, I got inspired by the London riots.
Okay.
And I felt very insecure knowing that the youth of our own hometowns are vandalising the streets that we live in.
Okay.
So my next range will have a sense of security, power and fearlessness through the use of spikes, feathers and buckles, and I'll still keep it feminine with the use of colour, shape and fabric.
And what do spikes and chains, how does that empower people? If you're wearing something like that, how does that, for example, hoodies is something that was mentioned to ban hoodies in certain areas. Would you say that would be a positive or a negative when it comes down to how are you empowering by putting those things on the clothes?
Okay, so like say I put a lot of spikes on the shoulders, it'll really make a woman feel powerful.
Right.
Like if someone's going to attack her, she can just shove her
shoulder
of spikes.
Yeah, okay.
I see what you're getting at.
This fashion is definitely for the catwalk, and don't forget catwalk fashion is different to what we might see in Selfridges, for example, or any other high street brands, right?
Yeah. So London Fashion Week is a whole press game.
Right.
It's pretty much making a massive statement. In fact, a lot of designers, they're in the bank flow. They're not doing so well for that reason.
I see.
Which is a little problem in the recession, but...
So when you say, like, with London Fashion Week, what can we expect? Because are you going to be down at the London Fashion Week?
I am going tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm really excited.
And what are you doing? Are you going to be going down to check out the stalls or to see some of the catwalks or what's going on?
I'm really excited this year. The whole world is looking at British fashion, so it's a very pivotal point for the London fashion scene, and we've always been acclaimed to have a fearlessness attitude, and we have a very individual sense of style.
So when you say individual sense of style, do you think us Londoners, I'm focused on London because it's London Fashion Week, do you think whether we're wearing a baggy t-shirt or we've got some really funky, let's say, Stella McCartney outfit on, it's about the attitude, isn't it, more than anything else?
We're known to mix and match our pieces together.
Right.
We mix high street with designers, with our Prada bags, with our, Camden punked up boots together, in such a fearless way that it's pretty well known all over the world.
So what about some of the designers who are coming to show their pieces in London? Who would you say to look out for?
Okay, definitely the Topshop Unique show tomorrow. Julian McDonald, Auntie Vivienne Westwood, always.
Do you like Vivienne Westwood?
I do. I love her.
Now, with Vivienne Westwood, I always walk into her shop and I always feel like I went to buy something, but then I look at the price tag and I think, oh my god.
Yeah, well, that's Vivienne Westwood.
Can I really justify that? But I mean, she is the icon, isn't she, of British, let's say, fashion in general, British fashion. Do you agree with that? Do you think that she sums that up?
Definitely. The way that her history is right from the 60s, and I think she's over 60 years old, and she's still designing away.
Yeah.
It's pretty beautiful to see.
And she's got a really loyal following as well. Sort of thing. And how long is Fashion Week going on for? Tell us how long is it going on for?
It finishes on Wednesday with a day of menswear. There's such incredible designers this year. The Burberry show is really exciting. There's Acne Erdem. Christopher Kane is...
so who's Christopher Kane? I don't know who that is.
Oh, Christopher Kane. He only graduated a few years ago from St. Charles St. Martin's.
Right.
And he's all over the press, all over the catwalk, and he's been designing the younger line of Versace, I hear.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I like the fact, I mean, it's really good that let's focus on Christopher, because you yourself, you're a young London designer, okay? Obviously, as you say, you've got the family history, which is engulfed in fashion.
Yes.
But for you then, where do you see yourself going? What's the next range for you? Obviously, you've done the graduate
Yes.
step and the graduate range, and you've got London College of Fashion behind you. I mean, come on, that's
brilliant.
That's like, hello, I'm here.
Yeah. So what happens next now? Where can we see you next?
Okay, I'm pretty much sinking my whole life into designing my next range, which is out next spring, summer.
Right.
I'm working on a load of press pieces, really hard edge, unique pieces, and also my first commercial line.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really going for like swimwear, accessories, a lot of women's wear to start off with.
Okay,
Right.
now I remember whilst when you came into the studio, you were saying that you were in a magazine. And that's coming out this week.
Yes.
What's that? I want
That's
to know.
right. My graduate range got shot by Saga Sig a couple of months ago.
That's that
and
famous photographer, right?
Yes.
Right,
that's
okay,
right.
brilliant, wow.
And it's getting published in Vault magazine, which is out this week.
Okay.
So people can actually see your stuff in Vault
Vault.
this week. Okay, that's brilliant. And we're running out of time, but I just want to quickly touch on, briefly, have you got any advice for someone who might be thinking of going into fashion? Because fashion and the clothes trade is so difficult, let's say. A lot of investors want to go near garms and going into, let's say, manufacturing clothes and what have you. What advice can you give to someone who's inspiring to do that?
Okay, I have a few words for all of you budding designers.
It's all for you.
It is a beautiful and passionate world to work in. You sleep every day not knowing what you will face tomorrow. Your work, play, and life becomes dissolved right into each other.
Nice.
And you fall asleep dreaming about fashion and waking up wondering what is real and what is reality. But the harder that you put your heart into the fashion world, the more you stumble across in life. Nothing is planned or organised, and life blooms out of your hands pretty much literally.
I love
That's
that.
beautiful.
I
That's
think
so
that's
nice.
such a nice way of summarising, because the thing about working in fashion is you're absolutely right, it's not a 9 to 5, and that's what you're trying to say with what you've written. Listen, it's been lovely having you in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming
now,
in.
you are on Twitter. It's
Yes.
at Nikita-Charisma.
_charisma.
So at Nikita_charisma.
That's charisma with a K and a Z.
So Karizma.
Yes.
And what we'll do, definitely before you leave the studio today, I'm going to take a photo, if you don't mind, of wearing that headpiece.
You're going to wear it.
I'm going to wear it.
Wow, that's amazing.
This wasn't in my contract.
Well, I'll put it on gently, and I will pop up a picture on Twitter at Sunny and Shay. Now, listen, we want to do the 9 o'clock rewind.
We have to do it now.
We have to.
All right,
okay.
So now, I'm just going to quickly mention this, all right? Because Shay likes talking a lot. And
thanks, Sunny.
So far, she's talking so much because she's losing. And normally, in 3 weeks in a row, since we've done this 9 o'clock rewind, I've been picking the winning tracks. Now, I'm going to give you a choice between Bryan Adams, Everything I Do, right? Or Wet, 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 Love Is All Around Me. Which one would you have picked out those two songs?
Well, I've really come into a romantic studio, haven't I?
You have indeed.
Let's go with Bryan Adams.
Okay.
Shay,
On the basis of that, just so you know, Neelam's tweeted out Sunny and Shay saying it's got to be both. But the verdict's in, the votes have been counted. This is 9 o'clock rewind. Thanks so much again to Nikita coming into the show. This is Bryan Adams, and Everything I Do for you.